Welcome, everyone. We are live. It was a great day yesterday. Just hanging out. But today's Tuesday. And we are talking about a Neville Goddard quote. He says, "The great secret is a controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention, firmly and repeatedly focused on the object to be accomplished." The great secret is a controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention firmly and repeatedly focused on the object to be accomplished. That is also the principle, if you think about it, the principle of mentalism, controlled imagination. What does it mean? What does it mean to have a controlled imagination and well-sustained attention? Well-sustained attention. Listen to that. The best way to describe that, the best example is social media. A well-sustained attention. That's what we do when we scroll. Our attention is firmly planted on just scrolling. That is well-sustained attention. And it is firmly and repeatedly focused. Think about that. When we scroll, some people call it doom scrolling. I've heard it called actually. But put it into daily life and you'll begin to see how to change it. Right? So when you put it into daily life, the great secret is a controlled imagination. A controlled imagination, what does that mean? You are choosing what you're seeing in your mind's eye. A controlled imagination. You are the one deciding what you're going to see in your mind. You're choosing that mental image. Right? But that's what he's saying the great secret is. A controlled imagination and well-sustained attention, firmly and repeatedly focused on the object to be accomplished. Another way of looking at that would be in our inner conversations that we have with ourselves. That inner conversation falls under controlled imagination. That inner conversation. What are you saying to yourself over and over and over again? You might not think you're controlling it, but the moment you sit there and you have that inner conversation, you ever seen one of those TV shows where you have a devil on one side, on one shoulder, and the angel on the other? And we laugh at it because, pardon me, we laugh at it because we think it's funny. But if we would look at it, we'd recognize it as a representation of the inner conversation. On one side, you're hearing, "You can totally do it. Sure you can. You're awesome." The other hand, you're hearing, "Please. Who do you think you are? You can't do this. You're nobody. You don't even have the appropriate training to do this." You see, the inner conversation, depending on which one you allow to rule you, that is the outcome of your life. That is what he means by controlled imagination. What are you saying to yourself day in and day out? What kinds of things are you contemplating day in and day out? This is what he means when he says a controlled imagination. It means to deliberately choose the mental conversation. When you do that, listen, he's also saying to you, well-sustained attention, firmly and repeatedly focused. Firmly and repeatedly focused. Firmly and repeatedly focused is where habits begin to emerge. So that inner conversation that you're having with yourself, that internal struggle where you're like, well, yes, I am. No, you're not. Yes, I am. No, you're not. But look at your dad. Look at your mom. Look at how they turned out. You think you can be better? Those kinds of inner conversations. But we also have inner conversations that say, you know, you're doing a great job. Look at all the things you've accomplished. You did it over there. You can do it over here. You have this in the bag. You know, I'm so good at this. We all have the inner conversation, which is that controlled imagination. This is why when Neville gives you step 2, and he says to experience in imagination what you'd be doing in reality. Here, that's why he's telling it to you. Because when you do that, you are controlling the imagination and you are firmly and repeatedly focused on the object to be accomplished. That's what he's telling you when you do step 2. Think about this. Examine your mental conversations. Now, why would you want to examine your mental or inner conversation? Because it shows you what mood you are in. And the mood that you are in will tell you the kinds of thoughts you're going to have. It will tell you the kind of words you're going to speak. It'll tell you the kinds of actions you're going to take. It's as simple as that. It is simple. And the thing that makes it easy would be practice. Think about that. When we scroll or we fixate, I remember fixate, binge watching things, that is a fixation. That thing has your attention completely. Right? It is firmly and repeatedly being focused on that thing. That's what it means. And we all do it. And it's it's intriguing when you hear, yeah, but the way my ADHD is set up, or yeah, but the way my ADD is set up. Remember those things, those behaviors are practiced behaviors repeatedly. And what forms a habit? Doing the same thing the same way every time. And sometimes we can lose ourselves in words. Oh my God, I'm addicted. No, I'm addicted. No, it's just a word. What you're doing is a habit. And your habit does not have power over you other than what you give it. How do you give something your power? Doing the same thing the same way every time. Whether you are deliberately choosing it or unwittingly choosing it. So when Neville Goddard says to you, the great secret is a controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention firmly and repeatedly focused on the object to be accomplished, when he tells you that, he's telling you you are already doing it in your everyday life. We are all doing it day in and day out. We are either deliberately choosing the mental conversation or we are unwittingly choosing it. Unwittingly, yeah, you're just living blind. You're not presently aware. To a degree, you are aware. The moment you say, why does this keep happening to me? You are aware. That is the beginning stage of awareness. But now once you've examined it, you will begin to see your mood and why you binge watch, why you doom scroll. If you see that mood, you'll understand why you do it. And you will also understand that you have controlled your imagination. And your attention is firmly and repeatedly focused on this one thing. Now do you begin to grasp why there's so many things vying for your attention? Because the attention that is firmly and repeatedly focused is where the power is. So if I can convince you, do some over here, do some over there, do some over there, do some over there, and you're flitting from place to place, thing to thing, then how can you gather strength? When the attention is not firmly placed anywhere, you're being drawn this way and that. There's a reason why so many things are vying for your attention. And when we split the attention, because he says what? Firmly and repeatedly focused on the task to be accomplished. Firmly and repeatedly. That's what brings about the changes in our lives. The deliberate changes as well as the unwitting changes. When we say things, well, I don't know what I want to do. Don't just believe that. You always know. We always know. The question is, are you willing to take the time to examine what caused you to say, I don't know? Is it fear? Is it worry? What is it that is causing you to say, I don't know? Look at the inner conversation surrounding that answer. So if we take our time deliberately, we are meant to live life deliberately. Yes, we're meant to live life deliberately. That's why the principle of mentalism is there. The all is mind. The universe is mental. The all is, key word, the all is. You must know the self first and foremost. And then you can condition the self to be anything. How? Controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention, firmly and repeatedly focused on the object to be accomplished. That is how. But Angela, how do I apply that to real life? Listen to what it says. The great secret is a controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention, firmly and repeatedly focused on the object to be accomplished. The thing you want to accomplish is what? Only you know what that is. What is it that you want to accomplish? Okay, now you can answer that question within yourself. What do I want to accomplish? Well, control your imagination. Do not let it run amok. This is why I gave you the analogy of the baby. You and the baby are sitting on the floor, and the baby's learning to crawl, and it happens to see the shiny stove, stainless steel appliances in the kitchen. And it starts and like, ooh, this is nice. This is shiny. I want to touch it. So it begins to crawl towards it. You being able to see that this thing is hot, or it's not on, but it is always in use, and chances are they could hurt themselves. So what do you do with the baby? You pick up the baby and you bring it back right where you want it to be. For example, when we say things like, yeah, but my mind keeps wandering. That's the baby going towards something you don't want it to touch. So what do? Gently bring the baby back where you want it to be. Over and over. Don't argue with the baby. Don't fight with the baby. Don't hit the baby. Don't shake the baby. Just pick up the baby and put it in front of its toys. Over and over and over again. And what's going to happen? Eventually, the baby will stay where you put it. So that analogy can be used to help you to have a controlled imagination. When the mind begins to wander, a dog barks and you're off on a different trail altogether now because the dog reminded you of something. That reminds me, actually. See, if you do it naturally. A lady came in with her dog. Let me tell you something, Linda. That dog, with no exaggeration, that dog was the size of a Shetland pony. Beautiful dog, but the size of a pony. When I saw her coming, I was like, oh, I put distance because I don't like big dogs. Why don't I like them? Well, you see, what had happened was I was chased home by a pit bull as a young girl. Whew, he didn't bite me. I was like Usain Bolt, and I scaled that wall. Yeah, I sure did. Oh, I was like greasy lightning, let me tell you. I was like the Flash. And I don't like big dogs for that reason. To me, they're unpredictable, right? So it doesn't mean that I won't go around dogs. I just choose the kind, the size, right? Why did I tell you that? Because I mentioned the word dog, and it took me off on a whole other tangent. Controlled imagination. You have to bring it back to where you want it to be. So I'm showing you how you and I naturally, when something happens, when we want to focus, our mind begins to go wherever, like ants at a picnic. It begins to go everywhere. And we're like, oh my God, I can't do this. Yes, you can. And we do it through practice. So that now, that's why I tell you, same time every day, same length of time. You're training the mind to stay where you put it. so that you developed a controlled imagination and what? A well-sustained attention. You see, we think things are trivial, but they're not trivial. They're not trivial. My son is going to be meeting with someone, and he's like, but Ma, I don't know what I'm good at. What if they ask me what am I good at? He goes, how do I answer that? I said, well, you take some time, and you say, well, let me think about it. And you go through the thing that you presently do. I said, what are you good at right now? What did you learn how to do? And he's like, well, I learned how to cook this, this, and this. I said, well, how did you learn it? He goes, well, most of the time I call you and you'll walk me through it. I said, so what does that mean about you? He goes, well, I listened to you. I said, so then you listened and then what did you do? He goes, I did what you said. I said, okay, and how did it turn out? He said, well, it turned out good. So I said, what does that make you? He goes, that makes me a good listener. I said, okay, you write that down. That's what you would say, I'm a good listener. I said, because you have the evidence of being a good listener. You see, sometimes when we feel like we've been put on the spot, well, what do I do? What do you mean control my imagination? What do you mean? I don't get that. I don't know how to do that. Look back at the things that you do. You have the ability to doom scroll. You can fix your attention somewhere. Clearly you can. That's why you're scrolling. You're fixed upon it. So you can have a fixed attention because you are doing it all day. You go to work, and heaven help you if you work in accounting. You know what month end is like. You have to be focused when you're working with numbers. Oh, yes. Numbers speak volumes. So look at your life and see where you are putting your attention. Look at how long you're firmly holding it in that place. What are you holding it firmly on? Well, you know that where you put that attention, as within, so without will happen. So it doesn't matter what you hold your attention to. That's why I tell you, no circumstance matters. There's not big, there's not small. No circumstance matters. What matters is, can you control the imagination and hold the attention on the desired outcome? That's why it doesn't matter, good, bad, or indifferent, what you want that outcome to be. The outcome is inevitable if you control the imagination and hold it in place. Those two things will tell you the outcome every time. Where in your mind's eye are you focused upon? What have you given your attention to? Well, then that is what you will experience. No questions. Good, bad, or indifferent. Is the imagination controlled? Meaning you're not letting it wander and run amok. You know how sometimes we get to jump to conclusions with the worst case scenarios? That's what I'm talking about when I say controlled imagination. We're letting it hop from, oh my God, but what if that happens? Oh no, what if that happens? What if that happens? Blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, you're overwhelmed. See how easily we overwhelm ourselves? Because we do not control the imagination. It is energy, remember? The imagination uses energy. So if you're not holding it in place, which means if you allow it to run amok, you're using all that energy but not gaining anything. So it's going to leave you tired and unrefreshed. But I can't turn my mind off at night, Angela, when I'm trying to sleep. Because the imagination is running amok. Give it one thing to focus upon. I keep telling you it is irrelevant, the situation. So long as you have a controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention firmly and repeatedly focused on the object to be accomplished, you will accomplish that which you set out to do. Oh, but I start and I never finish because you have not controlled the imagination nor firmly planted the attention somewhere. That's why you start and you don't finish. Not because your brain is messed up. No, you have not practiced controlling the imagination. When I say control, or when Neville says control, it is not through brute force. Persuasion. Coercion. Oh, well, yes. That's why if you change the perspective of something, it'll help you to hold your attention there. If you keep saying that homework sucks, you'll never give it your attention. Not fully. And you'll complain, and will you get your homework done? No. So change the perspective of how you see homework. Is it a chore? If you see it as a chore, then it has to be one. If you see it as something exciting, ooh, I get to implement what I'm learning. I get to practice what I'm learning. Yeah. That's the whole point of learning. You get to practice it. That's the incredible part. You get to roll up your sleeves and go, ooh, let me see what I can do. That is the perspective one should have of learning. Never that it's a chore, because then you'll never do it. You think I like doing dishes? Please. But you know what gets me? A kitchen sink I can see my reflection in. I'm like, oh, yeah. It is clean. It is sparkling. That's what drives me. So I'll do those dishes just so I can see how clean the sink is. Oh, it seems petty. It seems trivial. But it is what will help you to control. But what's the thing? When you change the perspective and you understand that control does not mean brute force, it just means what intrigues me enough that I will stay there. That's why they can tell you things like, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. All they've done is change the perspective of job. Do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Of course you're working. Every man must. So choose what is delightful to you. Oh, but does that mean you never do the hard things in life? Perspective is what I'm trying to convey to you. So changing from one habit to the next, changing from a habit that is harmful to a habit that is helpful, you're going to do the work. But instead of looking at it like, oh my God, I gotta put that work in, the dark night of the soul. Nobody wants to do that. But when you look at it and you say, wait a minute, I'm moving through the stages of polarity here. I've decided I wanted to make this change. Why? Because I am better when I do it. I'm amazing when I do these things. It helps you to control the imagination and to firmly hold the attention on the desired outcome. Versus, I gotta do this. Oh, damn it. Here we go again on this work. Why does it never seem to be done? And if it never seems to be done, what is the first thing we say? What's the point of even trying? So you see, change your focus. Look at the inner conversation. What are you saying to yourself? And I don't like it when people say your mind plays tricks on you. Listen, why not? Because a house divided against itself can never stand. Your mind is not your enemy. It is just a series of habits that you and I have practiced. And every time you want to do something new that you have not yet solidified in your neurological pathway, it feels like you're fighting yourself. This is not Homer Simpson where the cookie told me to. The cookie made me do it. That's not the case. It's not fighting against you. Your brain is not fighting against you. The alleged conflict appears between the old thing that you've done habitually and the new thing you're trying to form the habit of. Those are the two things that appear to be in conflict. Why do I keep doing the same thing? Because it's a habit. So then if you would look towards the imagination, what, I gotta say it, experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you were the man or the woman you wanted to be. So if you don't want to do A anymore, then you have got to practice B. And in order to practice B, you got to get excited about that. Why? Because what you're excited about will help you to stay focused on the task to be accomplished. Yes. So if your room looks like your laundry basket exploded, because trust me, nobody wants that either. You don't want to do that kind of work. So how do you get yourself through it? You tell yourself, oh my God, I'm going to be able to see my floor. I'm going to come into a room and it's going to smell good. And I'll want to be there and I'll feel comfort when I'm there. So let me clean it up. Let me tidy up my space. Because my external space is a reflection upon my internal self. So, my beautiful friends, today, as you and I go out into the world, remember the great secret. And the great secret is a controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention, firmly and repeatedly focused on the object to be accomplished. Why? What is the inevitable outcome of the control of your imagination and your attention? What is the outcome? The outcome is accomplishment of the thing you're, giving your attention to. That is the inevitable outcome. So don't get caught up in which one should I choose. Don't get caught up in splitting hairs. Become deliberate with the imagination and the attention. Become deliberate in them. Why? Because you know the outcome. So long as I control my imagination and fix my attention on the outcome, you will fulfill it. What do you mean, how? Because every cause has its effect and every effect has its cause. That's how. But you see, you and I are looking for the exact staircase you're going to take. We're looking for the exact thing. No, that's not what it is. That's where you get caught up and lose yourself. So you don't have to figure out the how of it. You already know that so long as you control the imagination and fix your attention on the outcome, you will know what to do. You will know exactly what quote unquote inspired action you should take. Well, how will you know? Because the imagination, the thing you're holding in your mind's eye, and the attention, those two things, cause and effect, those two things bring about the outcome on their own. They have their own way of expressing itself. So as long as you decide what you want to be, the quote unquote opportunities will emerge. And the first thing you say is, oh my God, I'm so lucky. Look at how this thing just kind of magically fell in. It's not magic. It is a controlled imagination and sustained attention that brought it about. That's what is doing the work. You just get to hold yourself in that place. But how? Repeatedly. Why? Because you can't sustain it forever. Forever, ever? Forever, ever? Yeah, you cannot sustain it forever. But it's so long as you repeatedly do it. That entire phrase encompasses all the principles. Listen to it one final time, and you'll see every single principle there in that one paragraph. The great secret is a controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention, firmly and repeatedly focused on the object to be accomplished. So when you say, I am that, oh, I am, well, that's the object to be accomplished. I am that. And how will you know you're that? Your actions, your thoughts, your words will follow what you say you are, as within, so without. And you will move through the stages of it, thereby showing the rhythm, the pattern of this thing, this behavior, which brings about it cause and effect. Why? Well, you're in a stage of generation, gender. You're in a stage of generation. That's why the imagination is there. So today, my beautiful friends, who's all here with us? There's a couple people in these YouTube streets. I wonder if Miss Lizo's one of them. Ow, I wonder. And here's something incredible. On Friday, we were speaking about a QR code. And wouldn't you know it? Do you know I used my QR code for the very first time on Saturday night while I was at work? I sure did. You think, you know what she said to me? She goes, do you have somewhere that you share your musings? Because she's an artist. She came in and she goes, well, I want something sweet while I paint. And I was fascinated. And I was like, oh, sweet and low alcohol. Yeah, there you go. And it was one of the most beautiful interactions I ever had. And when she asked me a question, she said, do you have somewhere where you share your musings? Because I said things to her. She goes, where can I find you? Are you on Insta? And instantly, something said, you have a QR code. And I was like, I do. Because Friday in conversation, someone said right here in this space on Fanbase, you've got to promote what you do more so that people can get a hold of this information. And they made that QR code for me and sent it to me before I got offline to go to work. And so then I was presented with the opportunity to give it to someone. So do you have to force things to happen? No. What was the desired outcome? To get the word out, to get the principles out. That was it. That was the desired outcome. To make it easier. Here, scan this. It can't get any easier than that. And that's what happened. So you see, my beautiful friends, life flows beautifully, and we get ideas as we speak and as we intermingle with people. And if you're keen to pay attention, you will use them for your greatest and highest good. Anyhow, let's continue with who's here. Liza, darling, I see you. Hey, girl. It is great to see you. Twitter is for the replay game. Who's on Fanbase? Ooh, your girl has to scroll again today. That means Fanbase is growing because I got to scroll to see who's there. Big Mike is in the house. Hey, Ray Ray is in the house. Summer Rose is in the house. Summer Rose, I love you. Oh, Miss McQueen. Hey, girl. I wonder if you got any rest. Casey, my sweet. I see you. Oh, honey. I see you too. Anyway, I shan't hold you. But just let me remind you. The great secret to accomplishing any task is what? A controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention firmly and repeatedly focused on the object to be accomplished. That is the great secret to changing your life. And if you apply it, remember, don't get caught up in, yeah, but can I use it for this? Can I use it for that? You can use it for all things. Good, bad, or indifferent is irrelevant. You, however, are going to be the one to choose. Good, bad, or indifferent. That choice is yours. Oh, and with great power comes great responsibility. Indeed. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you all for being here, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, right here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Fanbase. 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, yeah. And remember, if you have not yet purchased your deck of Hermetic Oracle Cards, they are in the description on YouTube. They are in the shop on my LINKTREE. They're in the link on my Fanbase. You can go ahead and do that. Yeah. And I'm almost done doing the pre-order, like, mail-outs for the ones who pre-ordered. I'm almost done, but yesterday was a holiday, so no post offices were open. So we'll pick it up and continue on today. So I know that you've pre-ordered. Just send me your address again. I can go find it on Patreon, not a problem. But if you don't think you've given it to me, I can't mail it out if you don't tell me your address. All right? I love you, and I will see you soon. Mwah.